Good morning, guys. Today we have to talk about an experiment that might just bless your entire family backwards and forwards, and we will just have to find out for ourselves. Yesterday, I talked about the brain and about taking care of your brain and how helping heal your brain helps heal everything in your whole life. The better care you can take of that organ, the better off your entire life is going to be. Now, we're going to pause that thought and talk about ancestral healing work, okay? Because the interesting thing about ancestral healing work is that when we're doing emotional healing work on behalf of people who are already deceased, they all share one thing in common, which is that they don't have a physical body. Do your deceased ancestors currently have physical brain fascia that can actually be useful to work with? And the answer is basically no, they're dead. Whatever they've got going on is going on for them on a spiritual level and not on a physical level anymore, which is kind of the point. When they pass, there's this big explosion of energy, and the emotional stuff that your ancestors were not able to process travels down through the family line. This is, again, one reason why when somebody that you are close to biologically passes on, sometimes it can hit people in ways they don't expect. And part of that is because it's not just your stuff that you're processing. Sometimes you're processing their stuff that kind of exploded onto you as it passed down through the biological line. So this is the experiment that I wanted to try today. Now, if you're familiar with the foundational sessions at allyduzetclasses.com, which help rewire your subconscious mind for healing and help your entire body get into a good place for healing, those foundational sessions, we've worked through You Deserve to Heal for ourselves and for our ancestors. And I had us work on calling back our personal power for ourselves and our ancestors. And what I did not have us do was resetting polarity or the grounding session. Why? Because both resetting polarity and the grounding session are highly linked to your physical body, and our ancestors don't really have those anymore, right? You have a physical body, and that's great. But resetting polarity is dealing with a polarity system in your physical body, and grounding is about getting your physical body grounded to the earth. So as I was preparing this series for serving our ancestors during this month, I wasn't sure. I felt like brain fascia, we absolutely had to do that. We had to do that yesterday for ourselves. And then I felt like, no, I think we need to experiment and just see what happens if we do it again on behalf of our ancestors. So what would that look like? What that looks like, there's instructions in there. If you watch How to Get the Most Out of Your Session, it's going to tell you exactly how to do it. But it's really easy. Basically, you set the intention in your mind that you're going to be doing this on behalf of your ancestors. Easy peasy. And so what you'll do is go through that session again, but before you do, you're going to say, okay, I'm doing this on behalf of my ancestral line, and we're going to see what happens, and you imagine as if you are doing this on behalf of a whole room full of your ancestors, and just see what comes up, see what is different. I am really interested to see what will happen today. I can't wait to hear your experiences, because generally speaking, I have not felt that doing work for the physical body on behalf of our ancestors would be that effective. But today, I really felt like it's important to give this a try. We're all going to give it a try. We're going to go report back at Intuitive Healing with Ally Duzette on Facebook. Okay, so give it a try if you feel like you want to try this and report back. Now, why would we try doing some brain fascia work for our ancestors? I did some research on that this morning. And because this is the real question that I wanted to know. How does your family's brain function affect your brain function? Because here's the thing, I have several relatives where even if I haven't seen them in a long time, like our brains just work the same way. Like me and my little brother, our brains just work the same. And like we can finish each other's sentences, but like kind of we can, as soon as he starts saying something, I'm like, I know exactly where you are going with this. And when he starts saying something, or like vice versa, we just get each other in a really weird way. We're not twins. People always thought that we were because we look very similar, but anyway, and this is also true for some of my other relatives where we'll just start talking. I'm like, I know exactly what you're thinking right now, how much does their brain fascia mirror my brain fascia? How much of my own healing work that I do on myself frees my children and frees, my other relatives from their trauma that might be lodged in their physical bodies? And if you're new here, sorry, I know this is like kind of weird stuff. It makes a lot more sense when you watch the whole series. And so come hang out, watch the playlist from the beginning, and it will make a lot more sense. But anyway, I did some Googling around, looking at some different, I'm like looking at my screen again, looking at, brain function through families, and how family, of course, IQ is highly hereditary. If your parents are smart, you're likely to be smart. If they're not smart, then you're less likely to be very smart, right? But also the way that your brain works, like separate from IQ, the kinds of logical trails that you are prone to think in are similar to the ones that your parents had, right? And so I think that this has the potential to be a very healing exercise, to go do brain fascia work on behalf of our ancestors, which reminds me of the reading comprehension session. Oh, but that's scheduled for later, so we'll talk about it later. But I'll just tell you this. I wrote the reading comprehension session. I recorded it maybe 2 years ago, I think. And I was very stunned when I did that session to see all sorts of ancestors come up and ask for help with their literacy. It was in my vision. I just saw all of these ancestors saying, we never learned how to read and write. Can you please teach us? And doing this healing work on behalf of ancestors who had never learned to read and write was immensely powerful. I mean, I thought it was just mind-blowingly powerful, but people really felt and saw differences in their reading comprehension after doing that work on behalf of their ancestors. So working with our brain fascia on behalf of our ancestors, I think it's going to be really interesting. I can't wait to see what kind of changes that we notice from doing this. I hope that you take the time to share them with me. I'm like so interested. My little scientist hat is on, and I just want to know how it goes. But that is the experiment that I wanted to invite us all to do today. Go try the brain fascia session on behalf of your ancestors. The link is below. Hopefully you did it yesterday. If if you hang out here a lot, then you already knew that we were doing it yesterday, but you did it for yourself yesterday. Do it again for your ancestors and report back, because I'm really curious to see how this experiment is going to bless everybody's lives. Okay, I'm going to see you tomorrow, and I hope that you have the best day.